I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. I wanted to show you how I take video of welds. The first reason I thought I needed to do it was to protect the sensor on the camera. I was worried that the high intensity ultraviolet light might burn it out. With the tube type, it seems that there is a possibility you can burn out the sensor. With the digital sensors that my Canon DSLR has, it really doesn't cause that problem. But it does have another issue. It flares. Flares into a big flash of white light and you can't see anything. Now there are specific lenses that you can buy that mount right on the front of the camera and work just fine. But when you're working with a Nikon, like this little guy, the Nikon doesn't have all those lenses that you can put on it. And the Nikon is the one that I like using for close-ups because, well, quite frankly, it's a $200 camera, and if I do something unintentional and break it, I'm out. Well, the camera's 4 years old. I'm not out that much. I do have to buy another one though to replace it. The thing that it does best though is it makes it so that you can actually see the weld in process. Now, weldingtipsandtricks.com uses this method or something like it, I'm sure, to video his welding. Makes it so that you can actually see the arc and you can see the weld being deposited and see the tip movement so that it's a more interesting and you gather more information from the video. And that's the whole idea of the thing, is to gather more information for the video. Because a picture's worth 1,000 words, and we're doing 30 frames a second. That's a lot of words each second. So this is how I came up with to take video. I use this welding helmet, and it's actually just a face shield that came with the MIG welder. It's a cheap, really crappy welding shield. It requires you to hold the shield in one hand and weld with the other. Not a very good method. It's always better to have the helmet on your face and mount it on your head or your welding helmet or whatever you're going to use, and then use the left hand to support the torch and the right hand to do the guiding as you're doing the weld. But in this particular case, it mounts right to the tube on the tripod. And since Tripod Holding Company here, the original Tripod Holding Company, has done such an outstanding bit of work for me in the past, I like keeping it involved. The short camera can hide right behind the welding lens and fits in just perfectly. If I try and use this method with the Canon, it has a couple of problems. One, the lens on the Canon is too long. The Canon is a physically larger camera, and it has that big microphone on top of it, shotgun mic. So it works really well for capturing sound, and it does a beautiful job with the video, but it doesn't really want to hide behind that weld lens very well because the weld lens wants to sit right here. So I end up smushing the lens onto the face of the camera. Also, this lens is fairly small. The small lens on the weld helmet can't cover the whole front of the lens on the Canon. Canon is much bigger than that. So I end up cropping half the picture out. Not a good method. There are lots of compromises in this system. One of them is light enters the back of the welding helmet and reflects off the lens. When it does that, it causes the camera to white out. So I take a shop apron, drape it over the top of the welding helmet, and shield the lens. I don't get any bounce back off the lens. The camera can see through the lens then, and I can do the weld. Let's do a sample weld and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now I've been asked, why don't you just use one of those electronic weld helmets? Well, the electronic weld helmet has the same problem that that weld helmet does. It only does a small area. It's not as big as the old-fashioned kind. From the front they look the same, but from the back, this welding helmet has a lens that's about 1.5 inches high. This one has one that's 4 inches high. So that's an explanation of why I don't use the electronic lenses. I like the electronic welding helmet. This is a Harbor Freight. It's a cheap one. It works. It darkens in 1/250,000th of a second. Now, I have a little worry about that. I don't know how much time it takes to cook the back of your eyeball, but looking through a welding helmet at an arc, the welding helmet with a fixed lens blocks the light completely, every time. Doesn't have to take any time at all. This one takes a little time. There's an amount of time that that ultraviolet can hit the back of your eye and can cook the retina. When I went for my first eye exam, after I realized that I was having trouble seeing, I was about 35, and as you age, your eyes change. My doctor said, "You're a welder, aren't you?" I said, "How'd you know?" He said, "You have black spots on the back of your eye where the retina has been burned." Now, the back of your eye is kind of a sensitive area. You really don't want to have burn spots in there, because that's areas that just don't show up. That little test where they have you put your head inside of a booth and they flash lights in front of you and you can click a button when you see it. I had spots that I couldn't see the light. That meant that was an area that was dead. After that, whenever I was in a welding area where there were going to be people flashing, I made a concerted effort to wear flash guards. Now, with just me welding in the room, I'm not as concerned about it. I should be wearing them. If something happened and this lens stopped working, this would protect my eyesight. But it makes it so dark inside the welding helmet that even with the lens clear, it's hard to see. Do what I say, not what I do. I really think you should be wearing the flash glasses all the time. I need to get a set of prescription flash glasses so that I have that protection. These lenses do block ultraviolet. They're specifically designed to do that, but they're not safety glasses. They're street glasses. So, am I doing the right thing? I'm not sure. Err on the side of caution. Do what you think best and protect your eyes. You only get two, and if you lose one, you kind of lose that depth perception thing. It's nice to know where the doorknob is without having to reach for it. Kind of, how far away is it? Anyways, let's get on to the demonstration, and I'll show you what it looks like through the Canon and then what it looks like through the Nikon. As I'm taking the shot, you can see that the room gradually darkens. That's the camera protecting itself by cutting back on the amount of light that the sensor picks up, to the point it's almost black at the end. Now this is the Nikon. The Nikon's behind that weld lens, so it doesn't need to worry about that. It doesn't have anything to stop that anyways. You can actually see the weld right onto the lens. Now here's the Canon. It gradually came back after the last weld. And now you're going to see it gets darker again. But it's still such a bright flare that you can't see anything other than a white spot at the bottom of the screen. It shows that I'm running a welder, but you can't see what I'm welding. You can't really see anything at all. Now here's the Nikon again. I'm not getting enough close-up on the shot, and you can still see a little bit of the camera reflected in the bottom of the lens, but it's a lot better shot of what the weld looks like.
This is a number 10 lens.
The reason I'm going through all of this is I lost the video of welding the plate into the windmill frame. This actually worked out really well, I thought, but then somehow or another the file got corrupted. It wouldn't transfer into the computer. I couldn't upload it into Movie Maker, and therefore you will never know how beautifully I did. Well, it's working, but you can still see the light bouncing up through the bottom of the welding helmet and bouncing off of the bottom of the weld lens, it's showing the face of the camera inside the video. But you can see the weld. The weld is actually working pretty well. I need to make a complete cover. And really what I need is I need to make a solid hard box that I can set the camera in, small enough to work with, and put the lens on the front of it and the box to protect the whole camera, and just a small cover that drops over the back to exclude light from the box. If I make it so that that mounts on top of the tripod and becomes a single unit, I think I'll have it. This works. It's not the best in the world.
If you have any suggestions for a new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know, I read them all. Thanks for watching.